All right, so I want to talk about the relationship between gut health and anxiety today. And this is something that I'm really passionate about. I've been passionate about it for years. So, if you didn't know, I had my own experience with really poor gut health when I was in my 20s to the point where I couldn't really eat a lot of food. And it was really interesting because I was also working as a nutritionist at the time. And I would say 70% of my clients were also struggling with IBS, allergies, intolerances, Crohn's disease, inflammatory bowel disease, ulcerative colitis, you name it, I've heard it. So it's something that I'm actually really, really passionate about. Now, something that I also am very acutely aware of is the fact that stress and anxiety can also impact our gut. And sometimes it's really important to understand, it's really, well, it's not important, it's really difficult to understand what came first, the chicken or the egg. Like, is our stress and anxiety impacting our gut, or is our gut impacting our anxiety, right? So, what I want to look at today is how our gut health can be impacting our anxiety, because I think that's something that's really important to understand. And we're going to look at a couple of things that we can do as well. So, first things first, let's talk a little bit about the gut, right? So, the gut is essentially made up of the microbiome. The microbiome is talking about the trillions of microorganisms and microbacteria that's in the stomach as well, that sort of keeps everything really healthy. Now, the microbiome is really, really important in all different types of functions throughout the body. It's really important for our immune system. It's really important for, synthesizing vitamins, making sure we have enough energy, making sure that we're digesting food properly, all of those kind of things, right? So the microbiome of the gut is really, really important. Now, the latest research is actually showing that there is a relationship with, if there is poor microbiome, it can actually impact our moods and our behaviors, and in particular causing anxiety. So if we have an imbalance in the microbiome, so let's say one of those trillions of microorganisms or bacteria have overgrown, it's going to cause some kind of inflammation that can lead to changes in our mood, changes in our behaviors as well, which is obviously, when we're looking at anxiety, that's a massive thing here. So this is why there is a body of research looking at how probiotics actually impact the relationship between stress and anxiety in the brain as well. Again, we have to understand what damages the microbiome. So when we're looking at the things that can impact the microbiome, we're looking at obviously our diet. We're also looking at stress, right? So when we're under stress for a prolonged period of time, it slows our digestion down, and it's going to impact that microbiome, right? So this is why I always say it's always the chicken or the egg. It's really difficult to know. However, we need to make sure that we're paying attention to our, the foods that we're eating, the medications that we're taking, the drinks that we're drinking, all of those kind of things, right? It's really important to look at that. So that's the first thing that, can happen, especially with gut health and how it can impact anxiety. So the second thing here, again, it's tied to the microbiome. So the microbiome is also incredibly important in the synthesis of certain types of neurotransmitters. Now, neurotransmitters, we can sort of look at them as the happy hormones. One in particular is serotonin. Now, something that's really important to understand is that research is showing that 80% of our serotonin is created in the gut. So if we think about, if our gut health isn't great, whether it's because we're taking antibiotics or we're taking medication, or we're not eating healthy, or we're stressed, or whatever it is, it's really going to impact that synthesis of that serotonin, right? So it's really important to understand that we do have to take care of our gut to make sure that we're giving our body and our brain a fighting chance, right? So this is another way that our gut can impact anxiety and can kind of exacerbate it as well. So the third thing that I wanted to look at, and I kind of touched on it just a bit before, which is immunity. So here's the thing. A lot of research says that 80% of our immune system comes from our gut, right? Now, here's the thing. We can break it into two ways. Here's the thing. If our immune system is low, or we are, we don't have a good immune system, what's going to happen is we're going to increase inflammation. Now, inflammation is the root of many illnesses within the body. We need it. However, if we're constantly in, sort of low immunity, we're going to be constantly having this sort of inflammatory response. And inflammation, what can end up happening is it can actually impact our brain function, and it can also impact our anxiety. So there's a lot of research looking at sort of how inflammation sort of reacts within the brain and how it can actually increase the likelihood of anxiety and depression, right? So that's the first way when we look at immunity, right? We can also look at immunity if you are not feeling great for a prolonged period of time. It's going to exacerbate anxiety, or it's going to cause anxiety because you're constantly not feeling great. You're going to be feeling low energy. You're going to have sort of that low concentration. You're going to have all the things that are going to happen when you have low immunity, right? So there's two ways of looking at it in that sort of way. So it's really important to understand why the gut is so important when it comes to making sure that we are taking care of our immune system, but also making sure it's not exacerbating our anxiety. And so the fourth way that the gut can really impact anxiety is just think about what the gut is essentially doing, right? It's there to digest food. Now, that's just one element, right? Part of digestion is making sure that we're absorbing enough nutrients to make sure that we can stay alive, right? Our body needs those nutrients for all different reasons, right? For synthesis of certain byproducts, making sure that, they're part of biochemical pathways in the body and all of those things, right? But we also need certain nutrients to make sure that we've got proper brain development and brain function, right? And those three things is omega-3, B group vitamins, and magnesium. Now, the dilemma is if we're not digesting food properly, it's going to be really difficult to absorb those nutrients to make sure that our brain can get access to those nutrients, right? If we're deficient in those types of nutrients, it can lead to anxiety. If you think about some of the supplements that people tell you to take when you are feeling anxious, magnesium is a massive one, omega-3 is another one, and definitely the B group vitamins, because that's going to increase your energy, right? So these are really, really important in just healthy brain function. So if you are not digesting food right, it's definitely going to impact sort of your overall mental health. Now, something that I work with my clients on, I always work on a dual approach, right? Because like I said, I don't know, is it the chicken or the egg? Is stress causing, gut health issues, which is then going to exacerbate stress and anxiety? I don't know, right? We have to have these conversations, and every single person's going to be a little bit different. So the reason why I work with my clients on definitely a twofold, because at the end of the day, Get Your Shit Together has three pillars that we work on, right? The first pillar is building resilient bodies. So that's talking about making sure that you're eating the right foods to mitigate stress, to make sure that you are putting your body in a state where you can digest food, right? Making sure you're getting enough sleep, making sure that you're exercising the right amount, making sure that if you are taking medications, or if you've had to take, antibiotics, I'm not saying don't take antibiotics, but I'm just saying if you have, making sure that we're restoring your gut to a healthy state so it can make sure it's doing all of those functions, right? And then the second thing that we're always doing with Get Your Shit Together, the second pillar is building resilient mindsets, right? So making sure that we're managing that stress and that anxiety in an effective way. So making sure that we're breaking down beliefs, creating better beliefs around stress, changing your perception towards stress, giving you a tool belt that's going to allow you to make sure that you're managing your stress. And then the third way is looking at how you work, right? So making sure that you're implementing a healthy work structure to make sure that you can show up as the best version of you. So they're the three pillars. But whenever I start working with people, I work on the two pillars, building resilient bodies and building resilient minds together. They're in tandem because I have to make sure that we're managing your stress, so you're digesting food, to make sure that we're fueling your body with the right foods, to make sure that we're building up that gut health. So that's why it's really, really important to make sure that we're taking care of you as a whole person. Now, if you are not sure if stress is having an impact on you, make sure you take our burnout score down below. We've broken it down into physical, mental, and emotional symptoms. So you can definitely get a good understanding if burnout has your number. So make sure you take that. If you are going, do you know what? I want to learn more about this. I want to make sure I'm asking the questions and getting proper answers. Please join the Get Your Shit Together membership. We talk about all of these things. We talk about managing your gut. We talk about healthy diets, healthy exercise, healthy sleep routines, and we also talk about how you can manage your stress more effectively. So join the community and the membership, where you get access to a webinar every single month. You get access to group coaching. You get access to peer group, and you can ask me questions throughout, in between sessions as well. You also get access to other resources on all of the above and things like that. If you just want to have a chat with me, feel free to connect with me on any of my socials and send me a DM. I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you.